Affairs Director with the Department of Building Inspection, and I'm about to share my screen and walk you through our agenda. All right. So as we mentioned, we will in a minute get through the meeting guidelines. You will have the opportunity to meet with Neville Pereira, our new Deputy Director of Permit Services, as well as with Joe Duffy, the Deputy Director of Inspection Services. As Patrick had mentioned, we will hear from Rebecca Mayer from the Permit Center and get a quick update from her, as well as to learn more about the first year free program. But then at the end, we have an opportunity to hear from you. When we hear any of your questions or comments, and we have representatives, not only from the Department of Building Inspection, but from the different departments that do permitting at 49 South Van Ness. In addition to that, we certainly welcome your ideas for new topics and want to hear more from you about how we can improve our services. And so, as always, with our public advisory forum, we have some guidelines. So you will hear department staff will speak on the listed items. Each item will be followed by an opportunity for attendees to ask questions, provide comment, and provide suggestions. The number for you to be able to reach us is 415-655-0001. And the access code is 2495825456 to raise your hand for public comment on a specific agenda item. You press #3 when prompted by the meeting moderator. We ask that you please be respectful of everyone's time and limit your comments to 1 minute or less for each topic. And again, we ask that you please refrain from questions about specific projects or applications so that everyone can benefit from the discussion. And with that, we wanted to welcome Neville Pereira to the mic. As we mentioned, Neville has 3 decades of experience in design, construction, and code administration. And he's somebody who's really interested and keen on using technology to enhance our performance and improve customer service. So Neville, the floor is yours.
Muted. Is it? Is it? Can you hear me now? Can't hear me?
We can hear you.
You can't hear me. You can't hear me or see me? Oh,
We can hear you and
now?
see you. We can hear you and see you.
What is going on? We can hear you, Navi. I don't know what. Yeah, you can? Okay. Hey, Jeff, can you confirm you can hear me now?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Neville, you need your headset, I think, if you have one.
Hey, Carrie. Can you hear me okay? You need to use your headset. Wasn't working.
How's that? Can you hear me now, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
I apologize. That was working up until 5 seconds until I had to talk.
I'm really the tech guy here, people.
So I just, the question was, is this interactive or is just me going on for 15 minutes?
So this is you introducing yourself, and then it should be interactive after that.
Okay, great. I'll try and keep it short then. So good afternoon, everybody. Neville Pereira. I actually just did a calculation up to this meeting, just before this meeting. Next year is going to be 40 years for me in the industry. I actually started really early, and I'm not that old really, but yeah, 40 years in the industry, in construction, design, and in code administration. My family was in construction a little bit. I used to be a framer and, you know, have plenty of experience as a resident engineer and project construction manager and inspector. I've personally designed probably several hundred, about close to 500 buildings, commercial, residential, as well as civil and structural, public works types projects. And as Jeff said, I started most of my career has been in Southern California for various jurisdictions like the county and city of Los Angeles, Glendale, Pasadena, Santa Monica, and then migrated slowly north via the county of Monterey, county of Santa Clara prior to coming here to San Francisco. Little bit of leadership experience in ICC, the National Code Model Code body. Had positions of leadership, vice presidents of various committees, technology committees as well. For the Los Angeles Basin chapter in Southern California, went through the board all the way through president. I'm currently the vice president of the county building officials of California as well. Also have a little bit of teaching experience. Probably about 6 years ago, decided that I had enough to offer up and coming code officials, people that are into code and architectural design as well, to start teaching at the community college level at the College of Canyons in Santa Clarita. So here I am, and it's even all of this experience that I have in front of me, could not have prepared me for San Francisco, just because things are done interestingly over here, I could say. It's been a really good learning experience over the last 5 weeks or so. Getting to know the San Francisco Building Code, getting to know a few of you that have reached out to welcome me and share your opinion about the current state of my division here. I welcome that. I welcome you reaching out, having a conversation. Prefer a conversation as to email, and I'm interested to hear the perspective. I believe I understand the design community fairly well just because of my experience, and it's not it's not something that happened a decade or two ago. It's very recent experience with design and dealing with departments such as the one that I have. So my emphasis here is really to try and but streamline is probably overused, but really get this building department back in connection with the way things are done in the surrounding cities as far as process goes. I understand legislatively and politically we have other things going on here, but definitely as far as process goes, I think the community, the design community, our constituents need continuity and consistency with our surrounding jurisdictions. That's what I'm here to facilitate as best as I can. Yeah, I have a strong technology background, which is one of the things that I aim to leverage with our existing divisions within DBI to be able to meet that goal. And the focus is on you primarily. Obviously, whatever works or whatever we implement has to work for the customer as well as internal staff. I'm not an advocate for making it, unreasonable on either party here. But there's a middle ground, and I know it's worked. We've been successful in other jurisdictions in making some very quick changes. I have successfully implemented electronic plan of view in 2 other jurisdictions as well. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to your input, like I said. And I'll leave the rest of my time for questions.
Great. Thank you, Neville. So John, if there's anyone in the queue, this would be the opportunity for them to be able to talk to Neville. And
There,
provide their input.
there's no one in the queue. Just a reminder, you can raise your hand by in the bottom right corner, a little emblem down there, or press *3 if you're calling in by phone. I'll give it a minute or two. Shy crowd today.
It's okay with me.
No takers.
That's fine. They probably have all the questions for Joe.
Actually, we have one. Sorry, I spoke too soon. Manuela Papareya, you are unmuted.
Yes, hi. So my question is about a building permit application I filed over a month ago for a client. And we got put through quite some fun times, to say the least. And basically, our client was forced to apply for a minor sidewalk encroachment permit, even though we clearly did not do any work on the front yard and the driveway, and it's an existing encroachment, and it's in the Sunset District, and literally the whole entire Sunset District is encroaching. So, needless to say, this whole procedure is now delaying our building permit application by, I'd say at least 5 weeks. So, it's just mind-boggling. I also understand the DPW is very backed up. They're understaffed. And so I don't understand the concept why you would make somebody applying for building permit for an interior remodel have to go and apply for a sidewalk encroachment permit while the department is already understaffed, and it's clearly not a requirement. I mean, based on your bulletin, I don't have it right in front of me, which the number of the bulletin, but based on your bulletin and a matrix, our project does not require to go through DPW. So this was clearly an intake issue, and nobody in this case took responsibility. And so now basically our client has to delay the whole entire project with the general contractor essentially walking off the job because you guys are making us wait at least another 5 or 6 weeks for a permit, for an encroachment permit that we quite frankly don't need according to your bulletin. So I'll give you an explanation for that. I would really appreciate it. I've been trying to get an explanation for weeks. But basically gave up on it and just told my client, hey, guess what? I think you're just going to have to go and file for that encroachment permit because otherwise they're not handing us over the building permit.
Okay. So I appreciate your input here. If you can leave your information either in the chat or however we deal with it here. I don't know the specifics about your project, and I won't get into those right now. I do know across the state, most jurisdictions look at development, whether it's interior or exterior, as a means to get some sort of incremental upgrade on, public encroachments, sidewalk, and so on and so forth, with the anticipation that maybe interior construction work may cause damage to the sidewalk, either in delivery, trash pickup, and so on and so forth. I don't know whether that's true here, but it's likely the reason why this was imposed on you. I will look into it though, if you don't mind leaving your information however you can here, and I'll get back to you on that. I know it's probably a little late for your project, but at least it'll give you an explanation why.
And so you can email me at Jeff, Jeff, .Buckley, Buckley, @sfgov.org. And I'd be happy to forward it to Neville and make sure that it gets responded to. As a reminder, the Public Advisory Forum is not the place to discuss individual permits. It is the place to discuss, though, issues related to those permits. So just wanted to remind you and others about our guidelines here. So again, thank you, Neville. We'll move on. So I wanted to bring Joe Duffy.
Jeff, sorry, one moment. There are actually some more people in the queue now.
Oh, there are. Okay. Apologize, Joe. Hold tight.
Gina DiCarlo, you are now unmuted.
Hi.
You have 1 minute.
Okay. Hi, and hi, Neville. Welcome to San Francisco.
Hi, Gina.
So I'm sure that you're aware the incredible wait times that we all have to wait for permits. And I'm not talking about a specific permit. I'm just talking about in general. What, if any, are your plans or ideas or thoughts on how we can get more, I'm talking about residential building permits approved over the counter, so we don't have to make our clients or people, San Francisco, who are paying huge permit fees and huge taxes and huge property taxes, don't have to wait for months or even years for building permits. How can we extend the current guidelines so we can allow more projects being allowed to be approved over the counter?
Thank you for that, Gina. I appreciate that. It's a concern that I've heard multiple times, not only externally, but internally as well. And I have a few initial thoughts on how to address that, in paper form and in electronic form as well. Look, you have to understand that the level of service that we have over the counter is something that's a premium, obviously, that people feel that that's a way to get through the system as quickly as possible with the least amount of delay, which eventually turns into costs. You also have to understand our perspective too, that the more the more volume that we have, or as we expand our thresholds, for example, to open up more things to be available at the counter, it just makes it that much more difficult to get an effective code review. Just in the sheer volume of amount of information that we have to adjudicate and regulate in the size of the codes and stuff like that, I hope you have an appreciation that the staff at the counter and the engineers have a tremendous amount of pressure to deal with. And most jurisdictions, quite frankly, Gina, are really limiting the amount of services available at the counter to prevent things getting through to the inspection without getting caught in plan review. San Francisco, luckily for the constituents here, has held that standard, and we continue to hold that standard, which is great. I think it's a great service for the public. There are things we can do to allow for concurrent review, and I definitely have some successes with that, both in paper form and in electronic form, and we'll be looking to implement those fairly quickly here. So stay tuned.
And John, could we take one more person? And for everyone else who may be waiting, there'll be an opportunity at the end to hear from you with more time. So you can direct your questions at that point later on in the agenda.
Okay, David Penn, you are unmuted.
Great, thank you so much. And Deputy Director, it's great to meet you. I have two general questions. One is a request. By the way, it was nice to meet you. I don't expect you to remember, but I bumped into you in the hallways of 49 South Van Ness. And my first question is really a request that PTS portals be provided at 49 South Van Ness. At 1660 Mission, before the department moved to the new beautiful building, there were PTS portals made available to the public, which provided more visibility into permit inspection, complaint, violation history. and was extremely helpful to the public. There's just not all information in PTS is available via the website. And so my first question is really a request that PTS portals be made available to the public at 49 South Van Ness as they used to be at 1660. The second is in regard to an old requirement that DBI had regarding wet signatures on plans. And during COVID, this requirement was done away with for obvious reasons. And the industry really generally has moved away from this. And I would also remind you, you weren't here, but during COVID, it was done away with because via negotiations with the city attorney, it was found that California Civil Code 1633.7 and 1633.17 really clearly indicate that electronic signature satisfies the law. And so I have heard some rumors about wet signature requirements coming back, and I just wanted to voice that as a concern. It just adds a lot of complexity to the process, and in general, the industry again has really moved away from that. So my request would be to allow digital signatures as compliant with state code. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll respond to that really quickly, David. You're absolutely right. It is state law. It's also in the architects and engineers, rules of the profession as well as part of their licensure. As we move towards electronic plan review, almost 100%, if not 100%, we'll definitely be looking at that. Again, give me some time to figure out the reasons of why DBI is requiring that here. But I certainly recognize your point, and they're valid points. Thank you.
And John, how many do we have in the queue at this point?
We have 2 more in the queue.
Okay, why don't we just take those folks right now? If you could keep your comments brief, but we would want to hear from you. So if you could take the next caller.
Matt Nichols, you're unmuted.
Hi, I'm a contractor in the city. I have one question and one quick suggestion. The question is, I've got a ADU project in the queue. Is DBI following state law, which, as I understand it, says that, and I'm sure there's stipulations with this, but sprinklers are not required in the ADUs. That's the question, and then I have a quick comment, but I'll take the answer first.
Sure, it actually happens to be one of the first things I dealt with, and part of what's unique with the city of San Francisco in that most, if not, in most of the community, it has 0 lot lines, and there is a difficulty in fire life safety egress of a building or a unit that is maybe in the rear of the building. So in order to compensate for that way, you sometimes have to exit through another building or another unit. The fire department has reserved the right to look at each situation individually and require fire sprinklers as a way to essentially secure that egress of the rear unit through the front unit. Again, like I said, this is unique to the city of San Francisco, and
I understand that there are times when the path of egress is longer and sprinklers might be required. But has the city attorney weighed in on if they're going to be required? So what you're saying, let me make sure I'm hearing you right, that in certain circumstances the fire department may require that. Is that what you're saying?
I believe that's the case.
But not in every circumstances. Not in every circumstance.
Oh, I believe if there's a clear path, egress passageway or something like that. Again, I don't have enough into this thing, into the city to be able to make that.
And we don't know if the city attorney's weighed in on this, has written a determination on this. Do we know?
I don't know that. No.
Okay. And then this is a positive comment. I've been really pleased with the ability to pull permits online. That's just, in my career has happened pretty recently. We do a lot of kitchens and baths. It's awesome that we can do kitchen and bath replace in kind online. A lot of our work is that, but we can only do it for single family homes. It would be great. Most of my work is in multi-residential. I would love to see more work done with permits in the city. And I think the easier we make it to pull permits, the more work gets done with permits, particularly for something as simple as kitchen and bath replace in kind. The electrical gets upgraded, the plumbing gets upgraded, the work gets done by licensed contractors. Are there any plans to extend the online pulling of kitchen and bath replace in kind for multi-unit buildings? Because right now, as I understand, you can only do it for single families.
Correct. That's true. It's only for single family dwellings at the point. So in my mind, and in my mind alone right now, there are definite plans to extend that out to other, to other occupancies. I have a whole vision for permitting in San Francisco, virtually checking plans. So you could do this interactive Zoom session with a plan checker. If you're not able to come into the department, or you could, definitely submit plans online. It's a cooperative effort with the community, with our inspection, with our brothers in inspection as well, to see what works best. Joe Duffy is a great man. He runs a great division here, and if it works for his folks, and it's relatively easy for staff. We're all on board with that too. Virtual inspections came out of COVID as well in many jurisdictions. I personally don't agree with virtual inspections for a lot of its uses, because certain things you just need a person there. But it's certainly not off the table in my mind until we fully vet this. But great comments there, and just like I told the earlier caller, stand by. That there's going to be some changes happening.
Okay, last caller on the queue, Dustin. You are unmuted.
Hi. I know you guys are under a great deal of pressure to accelerate how many permits that you're issuing, and I also know you guys are trying to be more transparent in those efforts. I think a good gesture to that effect would be like a ticket counter, to know how basically what your place is in line. Much like the DMV, even if you're in a long line at the DMV, you can at least see your numbers tick away, and you have some idea. I'm a structural engineer. I work a lot on residential projects, and people ask me how long, and I can't give them an answer. I just have to say, time is not on your side. It's going to take a long time, but I'm not able to say 5 weeks or 5 months to these people, which is a huge decision in like probably the most valuable thing that they own, and the thing they're most emotionally attached to. They have to coordinate being able to move in and out of different homes or sign leases while their building is being worked on. So the time to get a permit is manageable. I think the unknown amount of time is really, really frustrating to a lot of people.
Yeah. So I'm happy to say, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name.
Dustin Munn. Sorry, I muted him.
Dustin. Okay. I'm happy to say that that those conversations started, I think in my first week here. Definitely in the works. It's one of my first initiatives actually, to be able to quantify the amount of work coming in right from the beginning. And so some of the changes that the public may see is that we're going to put in a screening at the onset of permit intake. So that we make sure that whatever work that we take into the department is actionable right away, that we have a fully developed set of plans, all of the respective documents that accompany that are in and ready to review. And then also at that point, we will estimate the time associated with reviewing that plan, at least from a building perspective. We have to coordinate with the other agencies that are involved in development review as well, and then put that into a queue. So currently you get assigned to a plan reviewer on the onset, which is unfair sometimes on the plan reviewer, right? Because and you in actual fact, because that plan reviewer may have plans for vacation, may get sick along the way, and then all of a sudden your stream may be inhibited through some sort of external factors or whatever. So we will put you in a queue with everybody, not with everybody else. There'll be different queues. There are some projects that are what I call the Mini Coopers or the smart cars that don't necessarily need to be stuck behind a 18-wheeler or something like that. So we'll have a separate queue for the smaller projects, anything between 1 hour and maybe 3 hours, and then everything else in a regular line. And then of course there's priority projects that have another queue as well that are legislated as priority. And then you'll be able to see that. That's at least the plan, to be able to see where you are in line with an anticipated idea of when we can get to you based on the number of hours that are associated with you, with your project, and the number of hours associated with the total number of projects in the line ahead of you. So I hope that makes sense to you. You're absolutely right. We need that transparency. And yeah, I hate the fact I don't know where I am at the DMV because the numbering system and so on and so forth. But we're planning on doing that too.
All right. Thank you, Neville.
Thank you.
Callers, thank you.
So we're going to move on to Joe Duffy.
Thank you,
So,
Jeff.
Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Hi, everyone. It's Joe Duffy here. I'm Deputy Director of Inspection Services. I may have met a lot of you already. Obviously, I'm working at DBI here now since 1999, 22 years, believe it or not. I can't believe it myself, but the years fly in because we're always busy down here. And just like Neville, I just counted up my years of working in the industry, and it's actually 43 years. I started when I was 16 years old in a family business back in Ireland. My father, the general contractor. Wife and I decided we'd come to California for 3 years back in 1990, and we're still here. And as I say, working in construction in San Francisco before I came into DBI, got a good feel for the residential and the commercial work around the city. And as I say, I came into DBI. Initially, I worked in plan review, so a lot of the comments that I did here earlier do resonate with me. And I then moved up to being a field building inspector for a few years before becoming a senior building inspector back in 2008, I think it was. So I was a senior over in 1660 Mission Street up on the 3rd floor for 12 years, and indeed met many people. Our customers, you do get to know the faces, you get to know the names, and you do deal with all sorts of problems as a senior building inspector. And part of the enjoyment for me of working at DBI, and I do respect Neville's comments as well, because I think we both come from the same cloth, is that just making it an easier process for our customers. There's nothing as satisfying as working here, realizing that you've helped someone through a problem, or you've helped them get over that hump of getting the permit, making sure their project goes well. That's something that I get the satisfaction out of working at DBI. And it's just working like with the homeowner that's dealing with a small bathroom permit, kitchen permit, something real simple, but that's not that simple for them. And we can help them every step of the way, making sure that they get to the finish line. Then working with the developers that are trying to get their TCO, or they're trying to get their addenda issued, whatever it is. I've always enjoyed that part of it, just doing the problem solving. And I think that's really, when you work at DBI, a lot of your day is spent solving the problems. And even if you're a field inspector or a plan checker, you're going to come across people that don't understand our processes. It's not that easy dealing with planning codes, building codes. We heard earlier about a DPW, minor sidewalk encroachments. It's all in one big envelope. And, sometimes it goes simple, sometimes it doesn't. But I do think our job at DBI, and certainly my job, and as I say, I get satisfaction out of it, is helping people through that process. I'm in charge currently of Building Inspection Division, Plumbing Inspection Division, Electrical Inspection Division, Code Enforcement, and Housing Inspection Services. And I have to say, working here for many years, I'm very proud of our inspection staff. I know a lot of them. There's a lot of new people coming in. We've lost a lot of people through retirement over the years. But, you know, overall, we have great teamwork here. And all of the staff, like, I mean, working together with the different inspectors, and whether you're a district inspector, a senior or a chief, we do work closely together to provide the customer service that people that are paying their permit fees definitely deserve from us. Our housing inspection services is something that they do tremendous work out there in the apartment buildings and the hotels, and helping people that are tenants in buildings that aren't really getting a fair shake sometimes. So I do have a lot of respect for the work of our housing inspection services, and I'm looking forward to working with that staff. Our code enforcement services at the minute, we have a lot of new processes coming in. We are reviewing the staffing in our code enforcement division. Our hearing processes are improving. The number of cases that we're dealing with are improving. And our process of becoming more transparent, we're hoping to get our NOVs up on the website, so that if there is a notice of violation on a property, that you're able to see that. So that's one of our ongoing projects. And one of the things that I do talk to our staff about a lot at the staff meetings, particularly our building inspectors when I was acting chief, was the customer service. I think that the customer service for field inspection, it really, you know, when a contractor or homeowner's out there waiting for their inspector, time is money. And I think it's important. And this is something that we learned throughout COVID, just getting on board with the calling our customers, letting them know a window of time in the morning before the inspection. That's something that we're really pushing, something we never really done before. But I think it just through COVID and with the inspectors working remotely, it sort of something that morphed out of COVID. The other thing that we've done now in inspection services is every building inspector, plumbing, electrical inspector, when their desk phone rings, their DBI cell phone rings, so that you're able to get a hold of them hopefully during the day and not just during office hours. So they're also now provided with tablets, so that in the field you're getting instant updates on your inspection history that is then transferred over to our permit tracking system. So you're able to see right away what is the status of the permit. And so that's something that is continuing, obviously, like with the development of apps and technology. And we're always going to be looking at that. We're now taking more photographs. We're able to talk about videos, stuff like that. So we are moving with the times, and we're looking forward. One of the things that I certainly met Neville his first few days here, and I know his vision is my vision as well. I think that inspections and plan review and some of the processes we can definitely improve. We've already talked about it, and I think everyone out there, I personally think we're very lucky to have Neville at DBI, and I'm looking forward to increasing our services with him as well. During my time here at DBI, I have represented the department at the Board of Appeals as well. That's been an interesting experience. It's given me a good knowledge of planning codes, some of the other departments as well. And I will continue to do that. I am passing it off to some other senior inspectors, but that was something that was very enjoyable, and I did get to meet people that were involved in that process as well. I really do have a focus on our reforms. I really think that DBI, we do need to be more consistent and transparent with everything that we do. And I think you're going to see changes to that effect. We are taking on some projects at the minute, and I think one of our customers talked about it there. And one of the things that was the online kitchen and bathroom permits. That was something that inspection services worked on last year, and I think definitely it can be improved on. I think at this point, I just want to let people know there are a few projects that we are doing, and we are working on a best practices for our contractors. I think that's something that can help everyone, the contractors and the public. We deal with a lot of complaints of inspection services for a contractor, for example, that's got off on the wrong foot. He's blocking someone's driveway. Really simple stuff, and we think that we can help the contractors get through the inspection process in San Francisco better. and help the public who don't really understand what the working hours are, for example, you know, what the actual contractor is doing at the project. Just giving the contractor more advice on public relations with the neighborhood that he's working in. The other thing we are working on as well is our online business. You can now extend your building permit and renew your building permit online, and that's something that we never had to do before. Yes, we're at 49 South Van Ness now, but the parking situation isn't great here. So if you're a contractor out there listening, you can do a lot of your business that you used to have to come to old DBI to do. You can do it online now, and it's all on our website. So that's about it. We are reviewing our staffing levels, and we are hoping to increase our staff so that we can provide, you know, better service to you all out there. And basically, I'm available for any questions if anyone wants to go ahead. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Anybody who has any questions, you can raise your hand by hitting the little emblem in the bottom right corner. We have one caller in the queue. Mr. Nichols, you are unmuted.
Only question, can we do parking permits online? Or do we still got to go down for that?
The parking permits online are done usually by that's a DPW issue, but I believe you can. I've looked into that for a customer last year, but I wasn't really I know that I did have success in referring that customer to a DPW. So I would say to go on the DPW website, and I believe that you can. I'm sure it's not really my forte working on inspections, but I believe that you can.
Hey, Joe, this is Bernie with Public Works. Our street space permits are currently available online through our website. So I can confirm that for you.
Okay, we have one more caller in the queue. Kelly Hagan, you are unmuted.
Yes, hi. We are a contractor in the city, and thank you, Joe, for everything you guys are doing to update everything. I have a two-part comment / question. The first is, I was really happy to hear you talk about in regards to building permit inspections, getting phone calls ahead of time. Like you said, time is money. And I'm interested in hearing how this directive is being passed along to the inspectors. I would say, despite my notes in booking the inspections that say not an active job site, please call before, in the last 6 inspections, we've had 1 call before. So, you know, we all have cell phones. So it would be really great to hear that this is not just a, hey, we encourage you to do this, but do this. You know, on the side of contractors, we have to make sure that we follow everything to a T. So it would be really excellent if phone calls before could be a guarantee. The second part is in regards to special inspections being approved once they're submitted. I know that there is a backlog now. I would say pre-COVID special inspections were approved maybe within 3 to 5 business days. Now we're experiencing about 2 to 3 weeks, which is a real long time for a project to be on hold waiting to be able to book final inspection. And I'm wondering if there is a sprint planned to kind of clear that backlog so we can get back to a more reasonable time for special inspections to be cleared. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, for your comments. I assume, were you talking about building inspections, or was it generally across the board? Just on that one, just for my own information.
In regards to the phone calls, I'm talking about building permit inspections.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kelly, my email is joseph.duffy@sfgov.org. And I would love you to send me an email and follow up on this, because it is something that we have been requiring the inspectors to do. we're asking them to do it. You know, I obviously, you know, we when we tell staff to do something, we expect them to do it. But I'd love to hear. I don't want you to name anybody, but certainly the areas we are definitely something that I would like to follow up on with you. In regards to the special inspections, we did have someone off there, unfortunately, and we were short-staffed in that. I didn't think it was 2 to 3 weeks out because I know we have one of our inspectors who works really hard at the special inspections, Van Zen. He was on another, he was helping us with the gas line audit. But I will look into that for you and make sure that we're not 2 to 3 weeks. We should be getting to those in 3 to 5 days. That's the norm. And sometimes if it's down to the wire and that's the only thing that's holding you up, you don't be afraid to reach out to us on an email, because I think that there is times when there's a target or something that you needed to get to, and we can sometimes help out with those if there's something that's really, really important and pressing. Okay.
There are no more callers in the queue.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Great hearing from both Neville and Joe.
You're muted.
Thank you. So Rebecca Mayer will be presenting a quick update from the Permit Center. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that she can share.
Rebecca, you should have presenter access now.
I think she's mute.
And Rebecca, I believe you're muted.
Rebecca, I believe you're muted.
John, as a host, you can unmute her yourself, so you might want to try that.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for unmuting me. I'm calling in on my phone, and so I think the controls are a little bit different. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. The Permit Center update today, we have a smattering. Can you see my screen also? Like, afternoon moment. Okay. So we have a smattering of different updates for you from the Permit Center. First up, some basic service reminders. We've had some early closures of queues recently that have been planned for just awareness. We will make sure that video displays are updated ahead of time, and we'll have signage available at all of our info desks where you check in so that you're aware ahead of time. In addition, our website will be updated, and as always, our queue information is there so you can plan ahead and understand what your wait time is going to be like in the Permit Center if you're coming after we open. And then just a reminder, the Permit Center closes at 4, so we ask that customers leave the floor by 4 p.m. or after their final service. So we may come by and do an occasional, sweep and ask you after 4 o'clock if you could please leave, because we need to close up our counters and close up the floor as we don't have active security after that point. So moving on, I'm excited to share with you some new services that we're going to introduce to the floor soon. So what I'm showing you right now is just sort of just a visual around our business permitting in San Francisco. The yellow honeycombs are most of the agencies that are involved in business permitting. So the restaurant will deal with most of these agencies, and the dark blue objects are some of the different programs, and this is just a fraction of all the programs that the city has or liaisons and helps businesses understand. And so there's a lot to navigate, particularly if you're a new business and you're a small business. And so as a result, we have been partnering with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development and the Office of Small Business. And we will be bringing 2 new business consulting positions to the Permit Center. The positions will be here to help business start. If they need startup information, we'll have liaisons from the Office of Small Business and ways to refer you to City Hall if you have a much more complicated business startup problem, or the liaisons will be here or the consultants will be here to help a business who is stuck in the process and needs help navigating a permitting situation or just understanding what they need to do. So very exciting that this is a new program, hasn't existed in the city before. We're building off of some work that the Office of Economic and Workforce Development has done in the past and some of the best practices from OSB coupled with the Permit Center customer service experience. And we hope this will help businesses, you know, again, just navigate the complex process of business permitting here. So we are hiring right now and hope that will be done sometime in December. Then in the month of December, we will be launching a new service for everyone, which is our print center. And you can think about it like a small FedEx, Kinko's, or UPS store. We will have printing services on site, and it's printing of like normal size documents, but also large format documents. So if you have a set of plans that you need printing out, we will be able to do that here for you. We'll have scanning services, notary services, and then which launched today, public terminal. So an earlier customer had asked about having the portals to PTS. Now that we have the computers installed, we've been working through some changes to our network in 49 South Van Ness, so we've been able to get the hardware deployed. We will start working with DBI to extend different websites and services onto those terminals. Right now, though, you have access to all the city and county websites, your email. So if you're doing a street space permit for public works, you can go to the terminal, submit your application, pay for it, and then and you can do that while you're waiting to see public works and get that queued up at the same time that you're also working on your project over the counter. Again, that service should be open early December, and then in January we'll launch the business consulting program. And then finally, we just wanted to share some reminders about electronic plan review and things that will help expedite your review of your project. So first up, just a reminder around the back check page. So for those of you that are participating in our EPR program, you may have seen this already, or if you participate in a training, our trainer talked about this. So this is a page that you add to the end of your plans. You find it on our website. Link is below on this slide, and Jeff will have the information, but this is all on our website currently. So what you want to do is make sure this is added, because what this does is it triggers the status menu for comment review. And being able to individually check and understand the status of each comment helps plan reviewers work through your revision process much quicker. Okay, and then lastly, we just wanted to make sure that customers were aware that Bluebeam has the ability to alert you when changes are made to your review. So there are there's different preferences that you can trigger for updates, if you want them bundled, or if you want to know every single time your plan is touched during the review process. Bluebeam has different ways to notify you. But this is a great way to stay active through the plan review process. We really encourage you to make use of this feature within Bluebeam. Again, the the procedures, the step-by-step guide of turning on the notifications are in the applicant procedure, which we have hanging on our website. And we also have a little video that will be coming soon to you. And that is actually a segue into my last slide. So just some reminders about EPR resources. First up, again, we have some focused videos that will be launched over the next couple of weeks, specifically around the topics we just shared. And then as we see more questions coming into our customer service line, if we see reoccurring themes, we'll use that as a basis to create more videos for customers, just to make, because we know that our procedure guide is pretty dense, so we're finding ways to make it a little more digestible for you and easier to follow. If you're new to EPR, so if you haven't yet submitted a project, we have the full applicant training recorded, so you can watch that video. The chapters have been set within it, so it's easy for you to hop around and watch things over again. And as mentioned previously, we have a very complete PDF document, written document on the step-by-step procedures for EPR. So if you're new to the process, if you haven't done an EPR project with us recently, I really encourage you to go back and look at some of these resources available to you. It'll just help your review process and help our plan reviewers in all of the departments get through their work quicker. And then lastly, if you're stuck, if you have a question, if you're not finding the answer that you need online or in the PDF, please email the Permit Center at sfgov.org, so permitcenter@sfgov.org. And all of those questions will be received by the Permit Center team. Our staff has many resources available to help you through whatever your issue is. And if we can't help you, we will help facilitate with Bluebeam or with our vendor liaison to answer your question. But we should be able to answer most things, you know, really within a day to 2 days at the most. And that is it for me. Thank you.
We have one caller in the queue. Mr. Penn, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm not entirely sure that you're the right person to direct this question to, but I was just wondering if at 49 South Van Ness, the bottle fillers could be turned on for the public. I can understand why the drinking fountains themselves would be deactivated, but it'd be great if the bottle fillers could be made operational. Thank you.
Yes, crazy enough, I am the right person for that question. So I do a myriad of things here. So we actually just talked about this today. I thought, I'll double check, we were going to remove tape this week and make sure that the bottle fillers are active. So if they're not, we'll get them up and running for you by next week.
Sorry, one more caller. Jilly.
Hi. Hello?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear it? Is the mic on?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great, thanks. Sorry, this is a very simple follow-up question. Thank you all very much for this forum. It's quite interesting. And there are two questions. One is records, and the other is a very easy one, maybe for Rebecca as well, is are we working on bike racks for the outside? For the non-employee bike racks.
Yeah, I have to check. I thought we had, well, there are bike racks on Mission Street for certain. I thought there were some on 11th Street. They might be fancy, so maybe flying under the radar as bike racks. But I can, you know what, Jilly, why don't I do this? I will find out about the bike rack information, make sure that they're there. If not, we'll get an ETA on when they're coming, because I can't hardly believe that we don't have them. And then we'll make sure that on the Permit Center website, so it's sf.gov/Permit Center, we will make sure to post information about parking and include bike parking as well. I think we have car parking there, but not bike parking. So I'll get that uploaded onto our website before the week is over for you.
That's excellent. Yes, it's very important for those of us who come by quickly on bikes. The question about records is that we've been talking about transparency overall. The records department has been helpful, but very difficult to get to see and select things. Is there any chance that it's going to go more online, more digitally accessible in the future? Does anybody know?
That sounds like a question for Patty Herrera, who I believe is here. Patty, could you answer that question?
Yes, I am. What do you mean by has been difficult to see? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, in terms of, this is pre-pandemic. I haven't yet been there recently, but in the old building, it was a bit of a waiting and getting a station and looking through records. And then you had to select very specific ones to get printed, and then you can always get only 11 by 17s. In some cities you can search digitally, and in some places you can get full-size prints, which are much easier to work with, especially in older records.
So the hard copies for plans are still only 11 by 17. That's the only size that we are currently producing. And for hard copies for building permits, job cards, and CFCs are 8.5 by 11. We are also providing electronic copies for building records, for building permits, job cards, and CFCs, if your records request is less than 20 pages. And we are exploring the options of expanding the number of pages, but that does not apply to building plans for now. The wait times have drastically changed, and the way that the stations for the customers, we now have mirror computers. You said that you visited pre-pandemic, so things have changed. I don't know if you ever are going to visit the new offices. You will see that the setup for the customers have changed. And you can also send the request via email. Have you tried that? Have you requested records lately?
I have not requested lately, and if it's possible to receive them by PDF, that's actually very helpful.
Yes, you do, but it depends on the number of records and the type of records that you are requesting. So what I will suggest, if you can send the request via dbi.records, the number 3, the letter R at sfgov.org, or you can send me an email at patty.herrera@sfgov.org, and I will send you the information. And I will also send you the records request form.
All right, Mr. Jacobs, you're unmuted.
Hi, thank you. Eric Jacobs here. I have a question, kind of a general question about DPW processing and whether or not there are any process improvements on the docket for DPW expansion of OTC services. Similar to the analogy that the deputy director
Finish the question, but John cut us off.
Yeah, similar to the analogy that was offered by the deputy director of the smart cars versus the 18-wheelers. Whether there's going to be a plan to allow for OTC processing for small permits, similar to the first caller on the forum today, where it sounded like she had an existing historic encroachment that needed to be memorialized with a minor encroachment permit. In the days before COVID, such a permit could be done in a day at the counter at the old DPW office, could be, drafted up, taken to the recorder's office, and then dropped back off to allow for the speedy release of a permit. And since that submittal process has gone to more of a remote online or email submittal, we're now seeing 40, 50 working day delays for some of these permits. So we're wondering if there's any plans for expanding OTC processing and letting some of the smart cars get in front of the 18-wheelers, so to speak?
Well, we have Bernie C here from the from DPW. Bernie, do you want to field that question?
Sure. Eric, thank you for the question. It is something we are looking at. We're actually had a discussion earlier this week on expanding OTC services and what that looks like. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people still remote and we're bringing them back to the office now. So it's looking like we should be able to do something in the near future. As I think someone noted earlier, we are somewhat backlogged on our other work. So we're trying to balance our review of our in-house permits with what we can do OTC, but it is something that we are looking to improve on and be able to take the simple smart car permits OTC and get them out. So it is something we're looking at.
Thank you, Bernie.
There are no more callers in the queue.
Hey, can I just throw a quick update in? You had maintenance and other folks scurrying all of a sudden to check and confirm their bike racks on 11th Street, but we will still get our website updated and have a picture of the street view so you can see exactly where they are. But that was a great reminder that we have alternate ways for you to get here on a bike, and you can park it safely. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. So we are going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is to learn about the first year free program. We have Molly Cohen from the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, who's going to give us an update on the program. Molly.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully successfully. I feel like I have learned a lot just listening about DBI, and I now feel far more informed. This is the First Year Free program is a program that was created by the Board of Supervisors and signed by the mayor. The goal is to support and revive small businesses, and we'll do this by waiving fees for new storefront businesses. I think it's very relevant to many DBI stakeholders, contractors, architects. It's unfortunately only in the commercial context, but still a lot of interesting and relevant information, hopefully for folks on the call. So big question is why, right? Why do the Board of Supervisors, and particularly Supervisor Ronan, who is really the champion and author of this bill and this initiative, why do this? She put it very eloquently, I think. She says, right now, opening a restaurant in San Francisco requires about 20 different permits. Each of these permits come with a fee, and you need to pay those fees, obviously, before you've opened your business. So she's hoping First Year Free is a message to small businesses. We value your contributions, we recognize the obstacles, and we want to make it easier for you to open up shop here in San Francisco. So with that, I am going to hopefully share a video that was produced by the wonderful SFGov TV. I'm keeping my fingers crossed to the tech gods that it works and that you guys are able to hear the music. If you can't, don't worry. It's just some upbeat pop, and just you can imagine it if you can't hear it. So I'm obviously biased, but I will say that that video, one, makes me absolutely want to see tech problems. What happened? Makes me, one, absolutely want to learn more about First Year Free, and also probably makes me want to open a small business in the city. I hope you guys feel similarly. I assume that video explained everything about First Year Free for you, but just in case it didn't, I'll just give a brief overview and then talk a little bit more about the requirements and what the process is like, and then I'm open here to answer any questions for you all. So what is First Year Free? It's a program that waives waives fees, license, permit, application, and inspection fees, and business registration fees for new businesses in San Francisco, really aimed at sort of supporting the city as it recovers from the pandemic. And I'll talk about this a bit later, but really the goal is to try to make this as painless and automatic for small businesses. To create this program, the last thing we want to do is add more red tape. This is supposed to encourage and sort of support small businesses and not make just create another hassle for them. So with that, who is eligible for First Year Free? So you'll need to be a new business or a new location of an existing business. You'll need to start between November 1, 2021 and October 31st, 2022. So this is a pilot program. It's just running for 1 year based on legislation. And it's for small businesses, so those that are less than 2 million in San Francisco gross receipts. If folks have questions about that, happy to sort of discuss that in more detail. As the Office of Treasurer and Tax Collector, this is the air we breathe. Also need to be ground floor commercial and non-formula retail. As the Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector, I frankly don't know much more than that about what that means, but given you guys are all design and development professionals, I assume that that means a lot to you. The big thing about this program, as I mentioned before, is we're really trying to make it user-friendly. So enrollment is automatic and immediate. Essentially what happens is any business that forms in San Francisco per San Francisco code needs to register as a new business. Presumably many of you are working in San Francisco. I assume you're all registered businesses. If you're not, let's talk. You may need to be, so have to put in my little compliance pitch. But essentially, when you register as a new business, or if you're an existing business when you add a new location, we'll just screen you through our existing process to see if you're eligible for First Year Free. If you're eligible, if you're starting the right time, under 2 million gross receipts, ground floor commercial, non-formula retail, we'll share information, again, in our existing sort of web process about the program and ask you if you want to sign up. Essentially, we'll just give you basic terms and conditions. Do you agree? Yes, opt in. Boom, that's all you need to do. And after that, you're enrolled. Enrollment is immediate. You'll receive an email and a letter confirming that you as a business are part of the program. And then to get the benefit, to get your fees waived, you'll just bring this email or letter to the permitting agencies, right? Whether that's DBI, DPH, DPW, the whole alphabet soup. And your first year application fees, permit fees, license fees, et cetera, will be waived on the spot. Something that I think is particularly relevant to this audience is we heard from a lot of departments, including, from Taurus and lots of folks from DBI, that oftentimes it will be a design professional, an architect, a contractor that's pulling a permit and not the business. And so First Year Free the business owner does not need to come to pull the permit to get access to the program. Like, you are entitled to the program if you come in. But to make it easier, we're just asking that you guys bring either the email or the letter with you. I think it'll just facilitate the process. Or if you don't have the email or letter, at least identify and say, hey, the business I'm pulling a permit for is part of First Year Free. All departments will have a way to look it up using business account number and location identification number, which are sort of business specific identifiers. So if you don't have an email or letter, don't panic. We can still make it work, but it is just going to be easier if you're able to bring that, particularly as a contractor or business owner. Contractor versus business owner. So why am I here today? What do I want your help? I think the really big thing is we want to help spread the word. We want to make sure that everybody who's starting a business knows about this program. If you guys are working with small business owners, we want you to tell them about the program, encourage them to register, let them know the benefits that they'll get. So we have the video, which you already saw, and I'm sure you're going to share with all your friends. We have newsletter, website, social media, flyers. And so I'm curious, from you all, are there listservs we should be sending this stuff out to? Are there, professional groups? Are there events, right? Is there a, contractor happy hour that we should go to? We're really open. We want to do whatever we can to get the word out. This program launches November 1, so we're definitely down to the wire here. And if you have people who have questions, always feel free to refer them to sftreasurer.org/firstyearfree, or 311 has a lot of information. And then just a bit more about our outreach materials. We have flyers, social media, and we have it by neighborhood. So we have stuff for Clement Street, Chinatown, Portola, Bayview, Mission, Castro. But if you think there's other neighborhoods that it would be good for us to feature, let us know. We also have the outreach translated into Chinese, Spanish, and Tagalog. But again, happy to add more translations if you think there's a community that's not being targeted. And then with that, I will just say thank you. First Year Free is a really exciting program. We think it is, you know, an amazing way to help support small businesses. And we also know that sort of you guys, you stakeholders that work with DBI are the folks who are in the trenches every day with small business owners, you know, helping them get set up and ready to go. And so we know that a program like this and, you know, the whole small business infrastructure as a whole wouldn't work without you. We are really grateful, you know, us in the Treasurer's Office, we are implementing it sort of the launch. And then after launch, it's really going to be our partner departments, you know, DBI, DPH, DPW, PUC, fire, police, et cetera, that's going to be really running with this. And we are really grateful for them and all their help. And so with that, I will say, oh, and my email is here. Please feel free to reach out any questions at all or feedback on how the program is going or not. You know, we know this is a new program and we are eager for to improve it. So with that, I will open it up, I guess, to questions. Jeff and John.
Great. Thanks, Molly.
If you have any questions, you can hit the little hand raising emblem in the bottom right corner. Not seeing anyone in the queue right now. Oh, we have one. Mr. Banning, you are
yeah, hi. Will this First Year Free apply to projects in the mall, San Francisco Center, and also kiosks?
That is a great question, and I don't want to answer it incorrectly. So maybe if I can take down your email, I will happily check back with planning on that and make sure that I know the right answer around ground floor commercial. Is there a way for you to check?
You know what? I'll email you on this at the molly.cohen email. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I am not a planning professional.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, there's one more caller. Gordon, you are unmuted.
Yeah, I have a question for someone in the building department about submitting drawings online. And I'm trying to understand if, I know that we can take printed drawings down to the building department to submit over-the-counter applications for permits. But I was asked by a plan reviewer to submit an EPR. I guess that stands for electronic plan review online, but it should be treated as an over-the-counter permit. Are you accepting OTC permits submitted digitally?
Thanks for the question. Jimmy Chung, is that something that you would be able to answer?
I think probably it's going to be, I guess I can answer this. Over the counter is paper only. Sometimes plan checkers, for not over the counter projects, sometimes plan checkers ask for a PDF so they could work at it at home during their 1 day a week. But that doesn't apply to OTC projects. So maybe there was a miscommunication on whether it's an over-the-counter project or not.
There are no more callers in the queue.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So now we have an opportunity to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments that you want to direct towards DBI staff or the different permitting departments that are here, the personnel from those permanent departments who are here to answer any of your questions. Now is your time.
This is Willie with Plan Check. Maybe I can supplement to what Jimmy was saying. I think for the OTC projects, they come in paper. And during the times that for rechecks, that basically to help, actually just to help the applicants not to be coming into the office multiple times at over the counter, plan checkers would ask the applicant to their options if they would like to features a PDF of a revised plan for their preview before they come in with the paper as an intermediate measures to to alleviate the additional time for getting back and forth to the department in person. So that's my understanding.
Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it.
We have one caller in the queue. Kelton, you are unmuted. Kelton DeSell. Looks like they may have stepped away from their computer. We don't have any other callers in the queue. I'll try Kelton one more time. Kelton, you are unmuted. I don't think so.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes remaining. If there's any other questions, now is your time.
Laura, you are unmuted.
Oh, hi, I'm Flora Crown from the Asian Local because I have a question because I'm a tenant advocate. So for tenant who is living in the in-law unit, when they need building inspector to come to inspect about some housing condition issue, they always have the fear of, because the unit is not legalized, and they are constantly worried that DBI, if they call on DBI and they come and later the consequence will be the landlord need to demolish the whole unit, right? The in-law unit. So I want to know if DBI have any like proactive action on this issue, or is anyone doing anything about this issue? Because apparently the housing crisis in San Francisco is severe, and I don't want tenant living in in-law unit is constantly lack of the service of DBI because of this problem.
Okay, Joe Duffy, is that a question that you would be able to respond to?
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, I think I understood that the concerns about an illegal dwelling unit, and DBI does take complaints on illegal dwelling units, and we can send an inspector out. I believe that's what the query was. You know, if they call inspection services 628-652-3400, if they want to complain that there's illegal dwelling unit or someone living in any inferior type of housing, just call that number. We'll take a complaint and we'll follow up with either a building inspector or a housing inspector, depending on what the issue is. Thanks.
Joe, if I can, I think the clarification there was that some tenants that may be living in a legal unit that have a complaint about general housing are afraid of doing so because of the fear of being cited for an illegal unit and potentially removing that unit. I believe there's safeguards for that, right?
Thank you, Neville. Thanks for clarifying that. Well, the housing inspection services are really the division to contact on that. You know, at the DBI, and a housing inspector will, you know, we are sympathetic to people living in any type of housing, and you know, our housing inspection services do deal with that. As I say, the main number there, 628-652-3400. And you know, asked to speak to someone in housing inspection services should be able to get that done.
And I'll just add, this is Liz Waddy, Director of Current Planning with the Planning Department. Just for the caller's knowledge, Oh, sorry about that. I was having audio issues. Can you hear me now? Great. Hi, I'm Liz Waddy. I'm Director of Current Planning with the San Francisco Planning Department. Just to add on that, there are protections for what we call unauthorized dwelling units or illegal units in San Francisco. There are planning code provisions that encourage us to actually legalize unpermitted dwelling units if there's a feasible way through life safety measures to do so. And in order to actually remove the unit, so if you were to call in, the building department were to inspect, you would have to actually go through a process with the San Francisco Planning Commission in order to actually demolish that unit. So really there's an extra burden to remove an illegal unit, whereas we've tried to create processes such that it's much easier to legalize that unit, even if the density is already at its maximum. So there are a lot of different processes we have available to legalize the unit, and we make it a bit of a burden to try to remove even illegal units. So hopefully that gives a little bit of comfort to folks living in those types of units. We certainly don't want that to be a deterrent for any tenant to be calling in if they feel like there are life safety issues related to their unit.
And Jeff, I'm sorry, this is Joe again. I want to update that phone number that I gave to the customer. It's 628-652-3200. That's Housing Inspection Services. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Liz.
There are two more callers in the queue. Gordon, you are unmuted.
Yeah, hi. My understanding is that the Permit Streamlining Act is a state law. It gives you 30 days to review a project and make a determination. Are you exercising any effort to respect that law?
Neville, would you like to field this question?
Yeah, so what the caller is referring to there primarily deals with planning cases and deeming that application complete. It's not necessarily reflected on building permits, and we have other legislation that pushes permits through, like communications towers and ADUs and so on and so forth. But Liz, if you're still on the line, can you confirm that that's primarily related to planning?
Sorry, yes, my video is having issues here, but yes, what I would suggest is if the caller wants to send me an email, I'm happy to provide a response. But generally speaking, in San Francisco, the difference in San Francisco compared to many other jurisdictions is that most of the permits that we review or applications we review through the planning department are discretionary in nature. And the Permit Streamlining Act does require that CEQA review is complete before that Permit Streamlining Act kicks in, which is often not within the first 30 days in San Francisco, but I'm happy to provide a more in-depth, comprehensive response to that question. If you'd like to email me directly, my email address is elizabeth.waddy, that's W-A-T-T-Y, @sfgov.org.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Kelton, you are unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm an architect working in San Francisco for the past 20 years and just had a comment/question. What we've seen in auditing some of our projects over the past couple of years is significant uptick in amount of time spent during the site permit or the entitlement process. And it feels a little bit like projects are being reviewed in sort of a redundant fashion, that there's two reviews happening both for site permit and addendum, requiring the same sort of comments and level of review. I'm wondering if there's going to be any looking into trying to streamline the various departments that are looking at site permits, when typically in other jurisdictions, that's something that would be considered a planning permit. In our case in San Francisco, we're getting all sorts of review from DPW, fire, PUC, etc. That's really lengthening our processes now to points where a residential project might have a year for a site permit and then another year for an addendum. That's my comment. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for the comment. Neville, is that the right question for you?
Yeah, I'll take a go at it from a from a fresh perspective and in conversations with Elizabeth Waddy and others, I really believe the site permit has it's gone beyond its original scope, and we are looking at that. And you know, Elizabeth will comment on this as well. In other jurisdictions, what's the site permit here is really a planning approval for some sort of discretionary or entitlement process, where other departments essentially look at the overall massing and you know, overall project from a really high level, and they just advise the applicant what's going to be necessary in the building permit process. Here, it has gone and you know, we've created this permit, and then it essentially gives you the entitlement to then progress to do to send in drawings for that full review. So we just need, I think we need to get back to that that stage where the planning approval is essentially that, and that gets translated down almost verbatim as a set of conditions that planning has endowed this project with, and then you just move into what we know as the full building permit, as opposed to a series of addenda and so on and so forth. At least that's my take on it. Elizabeth, please help.
Sure, happy to chime in here as well. I think the short answer is we hear you, and I think generally speaking, we agree with you. It's something that Neville and I have initiated having those conversations to really see if there's a way we can tighten up the site permit process so it comes back to more of a sort of a planning approval level. We haven't worked through all the details. Devil is in the details, and as these things have become standard practice, we want to make sure we don't do anything that has any unintended consequences, but it's definitely on our radar, and it's something we're working on.
Hi, this is Jimmy. I do want to add that the site permit is an optional process. They could go ahead and fill out just do a regular permit. No one is forcing a site permit on anybody. Just want to let you know. Just put that in.
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy. And at this point, I don't believe we have anyone else in the queue, so we're going to wrap up here. So again, we thank all of you for attending. This was really a robust discussion. And we really, again, welcome Neville Pereira and Joe Duffy to their deputy positions. They're off the hot seat for now, but they will be available to answer any of your questions in the future. So again, thank you to our partners in the Permit Center. Thanks to DBI staff for being here. And again, thanks to you, the customers, for these discussions. And we will talk to you soon. Take care.